Hi guys, my name is Trinity, and if you're here, you must be here to talk about books because that's why I'm here, to talk about books. My dog is laying in my lap. And if you guys haven't seen my dog, 100-pound pit bull. So today's video is going to be a little bit of a chatty video. And I saw Murphy do this video and I really wanted to have this discussion with you guys as well. So I am going to be talking about my bookish preferences, just as Murphy did. And if you guys don't know Murphy, if you don't follow Murphy, I'm going to link her down below because she's the one who did this video. And she's great. She is so high energy. I absolutely adore her. And let's go ahead and get into the questions. So question number 1 would be, which perspective is your favorite? First, second, or third? If you would have asked me this question a few years ago, I would have said, I don't really care. I don't care. But I am finding the older I get, the more books I read, I do have a tendency to like third person more. And I think that has to do with how much time we spend in the characters' heads. And not that I mind a close examination of one particular character, but I do like seeing the world from different perspectives. So while I don't like a huge cast of characters, and I don't want 7 perspectives in a given novel, I do like when there's 3 or 4. And I am more drawn to books that have multiple perspectives, and especially like different genders, different races, things like that. I really, really enjoy seeing the different worldviews. I'm not so concerned of delving into the character's thoughts 100% of the time, but I do like the third person limited, I guess is what you could say. So, okay, next question is to rank book formats. So the 5 top formats, I'm going to go ahead and rank them for you per my tastes, and that would be hardback. I really like building my library, and we've talked about this before, but I really like having the books on my shelves be hardback so they stand the test of time, and I can keep them forever, or as long as books keep, till I die. Second would be audio, and you guys know about the issues that I have, so a lot of the times what I will do is I will buy the hardback but listen to the audio, because sometimes, these big old chunker fantasy novels, they don't like to cooperate with me. It's fine. It's fine. Or they don't like to cooperate with my brain. And so I end up listening to a lot of the bigger fantasy novels, or, just listening to books while I clean, because I'm a stay-at-home mom, and so a lot of my time is spent taking care of my son, taking care of my big old doggy, taking care of my husband, and taking care of the house. So if I can be listening to an audiobook while I'm doing some of those things, I do like listening to audiobooks while I'm cooking as well. The boys are playing games and I'm cooking, listening to a book. And paperback. And when I say paperback, I mean like the floppy paperbacks like this. I'm not a huge fan of venturing outside of hardback and audio. But if I have to have a different version, that is what I go for. And if I happen to get my hands on a paperback book, I'm okay with that, but I'm probably going to eventually clear it off my shelves. I'm not going to keep it. And again, the reason for that is I want a library, full library, and mass market paperbacks just aren't going to keep. So either they're going to get torn up, or I'm going to break the spines and it's going to drive me insane. So I end up passing those on. And then the final format, and the one that I actually hate, is ebook. Now, I do read books on ebook whenever I get like e-arcs, and I generally don't buy ebooks like at all. Like, I'll download a couple of them when they're offered for free, but unless it's free, I ain't gonna touch an ebook. And that has to do not with like any kind of gatekeeping, or, you know, if you're not reading physically, then you're not reading, or you're not really a reader unless you have a house full of books. Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with dyslexia and having to read books on my phone. I don't have an e-reader, and I know that the Paperwhite actually does help with people who have dyslexia to be able to read ebooks, but I don't own one. And until I own something like that, ebooks are kind of out the window. Nope. But again, I will read e-arcs. It just takes me a really long time because I end up getting headaches. And it's not a fun process for me. Plot or character-driven books. You guys probably already know what I'm going to say. I am a plot-driven reader. Do I like Joe Abercrombie? Yes, I do. Do I like character-driven stories? Sometimes. I really don't like when things get muddled, and many times character-driven stories, you can't see the forest for the trees, I guess. And I am just one of those people who needs the book that I'm reading to have a purpose to it. I did not like The Night Circus. There's a lot. Oh, the big one that I just read not too long ago that's character driven is The Book Thief. I didn't like that at all. Like, I could appreciate what was done, but I'm like, what's happening? What are we doing? Where are we going? Why is this a thing? And if your book doesn't have a plot, like the blade itself, I may throw it at the wall. But I'm a plot-driven reader, and there's nothing wrong with like character-driven books. There's a whole other market out there for character-driven books. It's just not for me. And I think that a lot of the books that I do read, I can read them because I'm not a character-driven reader, and I'm kind of calling out a certain series over here. But I love it because the plot of the whole story has been great so far. For the most part. Do you care about prose? I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring. Like I said, he's sitting in my lap. He got tired of me doing videos back here. Yes, I do care about prose. And so, flowery prose, I'm not overly fond of, but I do like Laini Taylor. I don't need things to be described in 50 different ways. Like, I'm not huge on description. But as far as prose goes, I do like well-constructed sentences. I love The Name of the Wind. That book was a masterpiece. So good. And I like unlikable characters too. So if you're gonna tell me that you didn't like a certain character, come on. I like unlikable characters. I'm sad that you don't. But yes, I do care about prose. But the big thing for me is dialogue. How do you write dialogue? Because if your characters can't talk to each other, I'm gonna DNF. It's gonna happen like that. I love it when you can get real, legit sounding conversations in a book. And when you can't, I hate it. Like, it's black and white for me, because I can be sitting there reading a beautifully written book and get to dialogue that is written poorly and go and chuck it out the window. That's the one thing I'm a stickler for. So prose, yes, it is important, but dialogue is going to be the one that I'm just like, no, or yeah, I can get past this, or I can get through this, or I like this, or whatever. How introspective do you want your characters to be? I like for my characters to be introspective to a certain degree. There are some books that will drive me nuts because it's all in the character's head, and I think that stems or goes back to first person, third person. So I do like it when characters get introspective. I really, really like it when we get those deep delves into a character's mindset, point of view. But it can be tedious if done poorly, and it can be something that grates on my nerves if it's done excessively. But if you've got like a chunk of really great introspection, I'm really going to enjoy it, as long as it's written well. Like, I mean, so kind of like a 50-50. Like, I love it, but I don't want a ton of it. How do you like your relationships to be? Okay, so in the way that Murphy answered this question, she's like friendship versus romance. I love watching enemies to lovers if it's done well. I love watching friendships blossom into relationships, but I also really, really love strong bromances. So I like romance no matter how it comes, but I just like watching relationships develop, and to the point of love. Like, I really do like watching them develop to the point of love, but that doesn't mean they have to fall in love. And I just talked about A Deadly Education and how much I loved Elle and Orion's relationship because it was hilarious. But, you know, is she a little bit abusive to him? Yeah, she is. But it's not out of spite. It's not out of like hate. It's just a why do you keep sticking around kind of thing. And I thought it was kind of adorable. But I really liked watching Kaz and Inej's relationship develop in Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I really liked that. But I really like the bromances too. And it is so sad that so many books are lacking really great friendships. Now, as you guys saw in my last video, I have Theft of Swords coming up, and I have The Lies of Locke Lamora on my Pop Sugar reading challenge, so I'm very excited to get to those and those bromances. I've heard that they are some of the best in fiction, and I'm ready to get to that. I think I already answered this question. Do you like a lot of description? No. Stop it. So let's go into a little bit of detail here. I have said in the past that I don't like Stephen King. I don't like George R.R. Martin. And like, there's a couple of authors that I have kind of called out for this, but I don't need a 5-page description of a wall. I don't need it. I don't need a full paragraph talking about a man's dangly bits. I don't need it. I really, really don't need all of the description that, and the fantasy authors are notorious for doing this, but there's world building and there is excessive description, and there are two different things. There is world building and there is info dumping. And I think a lot of fantasy authors, even nowadays, tend to rely on the mistakes of the past. And Martin is guilty of it. Of course, you know, some people can call him a modern day classic with or the actual Game of Thrones, that book, but no, I don't care to read it. And I'm sad about that because I really like the characters in Game of Thrones, and but I'm gonna say the same thing about Robert Jordan, Steven Erikson. I'm not gonna read them, and it's because I already know I'm not gonna like it. I'm not gonna like the amount of description that's in the novels. It's gonna drive me absolutely insane, and I'm gonna DNF it. And a lot of people have asked me, how can you say that you don't like the Wheel of Time when you haven't read it? I've read 2. I hated it. So, but that's just personal preference. And that's what this video is about. And everyone is allowed to like what they like and not like what they don't like. And I'm so happy that there are so many of you who can delve into these massive series and enjoy them, but they're not for me. Standalone or series? This is a really difficult question to answer because I want to say series. If I like a character, I really want to spend more time with them, more than one book. But there's something so satisfying about a standalone where you're not sitting here waiting for the other books to come out. You're not just thinking, oh, this is the 50th world that I am deep diving into. But I think that's why I prefer trilogies. Trilogies seem to be the thing that I like the most because you don't have to say goodbye after the first book. And I think that that's pretty great. So, series, but short series. Single or multiple POV, I kind of touched on this. I do prefer multiple POV, but I do like it to be limited. I do like it to be a small cast of characters as opposed to a large cast of characters. And yeah, that would be my book taste on that. Strong start, middle, or end. So I am going to say strong start because I have a horrible tendency to DNF books. And if your book doesn't start strong, I'm not going to keep pushing through unless I can get confirmation that it gets better. And that's why I love BookTube. That's why I love being on Discord with a bunch of booktubers, and that's why I really enjoy connecting with everybody on Twitter, because if I'm not enjoying a book in the first 50 to 100 pages and I want to DNF it, there's a whole community to reach out to and be like, hey, does this get good? Have you read this? Tell me not to DNF this book. And sometimes they'll be like, I mean, if you're not liking it, don't read it. But sometimes people will be like, it's worth the push. Like with Elantris. I was so not happy with the info dumpy beginning of Elantris. I know it's Sanderson's first work, but I was just like, tell me this gets better, please, before I go crazy. And everyone was like, push through, push through, push through. And so I did. And there have been a couple, A Deadly Education. So I was actually 40% through the book, and I was like, okay, she's driving me batty. She's driving me batty. I can't stand it. Is this gonna stop? And then one of my friends, was on Discord, and he was like, it gets better. She stopped doing that thing. And I'm like, okay, I think I can push through it. And then, he was like, or I said, I love Ellen O'Ryan, but I just can't stand her when she does this. And he was like, oh, if you like Ellen O'Ryan, you need to keep going. Keep going. And I was like, okay, let's do that. But yeah, like, strong start's really important, especially for the people like me who have very low attention spans. But I'm also really greedy. Like, make the whole book good. Now, I would rather have a strong ending than a strong middle. Because, well, I'd rather have like strong ending, strong start, and an okay middle. Because I feel like I could ride the high of the strong beginning, and then by the time I'm feeling the lull of the middle, I can ride the high of the ending. I maybe I don't know how to answer that, but yes, definitely strong beginning for me because at least it'll make me stick with the book. But that is it for this video, and I will see you guys in my next video. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things. Bye.